Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Finance and Audit Committee. I'd like to just start with if we could have our phones on aeroplane mode, please. Thank you. Public participation. We don't actually have anyone here today. To receive apologies for absence is Councillor Winter, Councillor L, Councillor Drayson, Councillor Rustem may be late, but he said he probably won't make it.
It's approved.
Yeah. Can I have yeah. Okay. All approved. Thank you. And then to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Councillor Timothy.
Yeah, thanks. Rather District Councillor.
Thank you. And Chair's announcements, there are none. To approve the minutes of the meeting 9th of October 2024. Do I have a proposer? Do I have a seconder? Sorry, seconder, yep. And then can I have a vote on that, please?
Yep.
Yeah. All approved. Thank you.
So we didn't vote.
I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Sorry, I did take a vote. Sorry. Could I have a vote on that then? Sorry. Councillor.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay. And anyone against? Okay. Councillor Timothy.
They weren't amended, were they?
They weren't amended. I did view the video.
But there was no resolution.
No. There was,
No.
What was the problem? Could I?
That there wasn't a resolution. You can't resolve something if you haven't had a resolution.
In what? Sorry, because I was just asked what the... Because I viewed
For the
the
budget.
recording. Yeah, I viewed the recording, and when you say there was no resolution...
Yeah, so there was no motion to put it to the full council.
There wasn't, but there was from the town clerk to say that it would go to...
from the town clerk, but not from the committee.
Okay, that would be the chair's decision to make that and call the motion for that. So I'm happy to sign the minutes for that.
I'm just
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just happy to. I did watch the recording. And I'm happy to.
Yeah, that's
go ahead with
fine
that.
then. That's no problem. Just need to make it clear to everybody.
And then to approve the minutes of the meeting of the 13th of November. Proposer, seconder. Thank you. And a vote on that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to 6 is to note the budget position, reserve position to follow. This is the next meeting. We have the new RFO starting next week, so this will follow at the next meeting. To approve BACS payments, November 2024. Is there anything on there? There was one thing I wanted to ask Councillor Ruston, but he's not here, about the laptops and how he was finding that. What I did want to bring up in this meeting is just say that obviously with printing and laptops, we've got the option of having a laptop, and we also have the option of our town clerk or staff printing for us. I'd like to put something forward to say that this is the options that we have for our agendas, and that we can't give, maybe go forward, that we aren't able to give a invoice for printing, because we have that option. We also have that option for laptops. What would we put a motion forward for that? I'd like to put a motion forward for that and see what the vote would be. But Councillor Flynn?
In effect, what you're doing is you'll be eliminating private printing and reimbursement for private printing then.
I think we've got the option
if the facilities there.
I think we've got that, and it can be collected from there, or it can be brought to meetings if we need it. You've also got the option of having a laptop where you don't need to print. I think that eliminates the problems that we've had with bringing in an invoice for personal printing. I think I'd like to put that motion forward.
I can't see anything wrong with
Okay, could I have Councillor Wilson?
I have a bit of an issue with that,
Okay.
because it doesn't really fit our climate commitment. As an example, I live 3 miles away from the town, so if I've got to go into the town to pick up stuff that is printed, that's a 6 mile round trip, which we're not meant to be using cars as much as we are. So for me, I don't want another piece of equipment because I have a laptop, I have an iPad and I have a phone, so I don't want a fourth one, but I want to do my own printing because it's better for me rather than me getting in the car and driving into Bexhill. And it is part of the ability to be able to claim back expenses from the role as a town councillor. So what you're suggesting is that we're going to restrict what expenses a town councillor is able to claim. And I know not many people do, and I'm also aware that I have claimed some this year under my mayor's role because I've obviously had a lot more printing to do than what I've done just as a town councillor. But I've never claimed any printing before being a town councillor, but I'm not sure it's right that we should restrict it because we'll almost put some controls in place as to what specifics a councillor can claim for. And it just says, I think in the process, that you can claim for stuff that you need to be able to carry out the role of a councillor. And printing at home for me, if I wanted to be able to claim it, I should be able to. I choose not to. But somebody else comes along in the same position that has an iPad, a laptop and a phone, might want to claim it to do their job, and they might live 3 miles away from the office as an example. And I think it's putting a restriction, and we already struggle to get people to stand for the town council, as the last election proved, and it would be just another thing that would potentially put off somebody standing as a town council.
I think with that, I'd just like to say that obviously not many people have put in anything for that expense.
Yeah.
I think also you can't control how much that expense would actually be and actually work that out. We've obviously already had an issue with that. And I think the other thing is, if we do want any printing, I understand that you live 3 miles away, but it's still, the agenda comes out a week before.
Yeah.
I'm sure in that week that you would go to the town or someone would pass the town. And they can also bring it to a meeting. I understand you may want it before the meeting, but I do understand where you're coming from. But I think there are, that would be my answer, is that, Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, I fully appreciate Councillor Wilson's concerns there. However, I declare an interest now before I continue. We've got a very good postal service, and therefore I think time long ago was that every councillor used to receive all their minutes through the postal service, and it was tried and tested, and it wasn't a problem. They are prepared a week in advance, and so you would get a printed copy well in advance of the actual your requirement to attend a meeting. It's just going back to old custom and practice, and I can't personally see there's a problem with that.
I'd just like to ask the clerk, would that be, postal would obviously not be an issue, would it?
Once we've got the corporate card, we'd be able to go into the post office and pay for postage on the card.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just a bit confused. So, are we saying then that a councillor can claim some expenses but not others? Is that what we're saying?
I think it's just, I'm trying to specify with this one, it's just printing, I think, just their own personal printing. So when I say personal, sorry, I mean printing.
Yeah,
for
no,
them.
I understand.
I just think there's no control on how much does it cost? You know, how can you specify how much you actually print at home? And that's where I thought I'd bring this up, basically.
No, I understand. I understand why. I understand from the previous experience, but to me, it's quite messy. You've either got expenses or you haven't. So maybe
it's just very difficult to control that, isn't it? That's where I've just brought this up, is that it's very difficult to assess how much is printing cost, how much paper, how much printer cartridge, and where do you actually get that expense from?
Oh, sorry, is there a budget for councillors' expenses? I can't
I
remember.
think it's
Yeah,
So there-
£500. Oh yeah, it was it went up
for
to
the whole
500.
council.
Yes.
And what you're trying to avoid is one councillor using all that 500. Is that
Yes, and also, as I said, it's basically just really with the printing that I'm trying to specify
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
is that we can't really control of how much do you use, how much ink do you use to print, how much paper do you use. I think with any other expense, if there are any other expenses, if you buy a pen, you can say that pen cost me £1 and you can bring a receipt in for £1. But
we would have to change the and say it. This 500 is for expenses excluding
printing.
You'd have to change that, otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's exactly
doesn't
what
make,
I
and that's
think.
what
That's
you're
what I'm trying to
suggesting.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to put that motion forward and then see if it goes through. And yeah.
I suppose my question would be, how did the previous situation be allowed to happen, really? Because we're actually reacting to that.
Well, it's not just that. I think just going forward from that. I think
Yeah.
at the moment I'd
Yeah.
rather not discuss that situation.
No, I
but-
don't want to discuss it.
yeah,
I'm just curious. Just
Yeah, no, I understand.
It's
I just think going forward, I think we
Yeah.
can eliminate that and just have the,
Yeah.
Councillor Flynn.
Have you got a wording for the motion? So we
So I think the £500 is there. Just a motion to say that in that £500 that printing won't be included in that expense
okay, yeah.
for an expense.
I'm happy to second that.
Okay. And then can I have a vote on that? So, okay, that's 2. And okay, against? Against? Okay, just 2, 2.
It's up to you.
Okay.
There are only 4 out of the 18.
That's what I was just going to
councillors
say. Maybe we wait for more councillors to just discuss that rather than.
We will always be at the Finance Committee below the 18 councillors, though.
We will. There are more. I mean, if they want to bring it back, we can have a motion to bring it back, can't we? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to put that forward, please.
To the next meeting, yeah? Oh, you
No,
want to say
sorry,
you're voting
I want
for?
to- I want to
Okay,
vote for.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then again, if any councillors want to bring that back in, they can. Okay.
Do we have to wait 6 months to bring it back?
Yeah. Unless it's a special motion, which we put forward by a specific number of councillors.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, just going back to that. So we need to approve the backs. Are there any questions on the backs? Would you like them to go through it individually, or are there any questions on that?
I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Yes.
Top of page 2, the South training.
Yes.
It's a bit concerning that we lay on training, which is really important for our own education in this relatively new role that we're all taking on. And attendance hasn't been adhered to.
It still has to be paid, so.
I know,
Hmm.
but I'm just disappointed at that.
Yeah.
My other comment or question is the, where did I see it? The bill for interface, it says second tranche. Is that the final, or is there a third tranche coming through?
Where's
the
that?
allotments, about 5 days.
Oh, yeah. I think that's final now for the. Yeah, that's all done now.
Okay.
So that's all paid for.
Because I drove past it yesterday, and there's still a hedge on the road that is parallel with the main road. Was it not the intention of the committee that organised it to fence it all the way round? Because they fenced off the little bit, and they fenced off one side, but the bit that goes parallel with the main road, there's no fencing visible from the outside, which there is on the other 2 bits. It might not be for this committee, but that's why I was asking whether there's another tranche, and that would be for that one, or whether that's it finished.
I don't know what the plan was for that. That is finished.
So they're not fencing all of it all the way around.
If it's not, I guess, yeah.
Goodness me.
Sorry, I mean, was that Sidley you're talking about, or
Yeah,
the one we visited?
yeah.
Where they
The
were
one-
quite upset that we
Yeah.
had taken so long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really pleased that some of it's up.
I must have been confused. I thought we were fed some way around for that cost. But
Yeah, it seems quite high.
Okay. That would have been the committee, I think, that would have
Yeah.
discussed what
Okay.
they would have done
if
that.
that's the end of it, then that's
Yeah,
fine. I
Okay.
don't have any other questions, Chair. Thank
okay,
you.
so that's A. And then C. Any questions on that? That's just, I think they're just standard, yeah, they're just standard on that.
Mm.
And then D is to approve staff costs. Again, I think that's just standard. So yeah, can I have a proposer for that? A seconder? Thank you. And a vote on that, please? 4-4. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to 7 is grants and donations. So to consider a grant to
Point of order, have you done D?
D. Yes, I did say, yeah, I said
Did you see
approve.
D? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I said approve staff costs. And,
Okay. My fault.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so moving on to 7 is to consider grant.
Mm-hmm.
There is a grant to the, just find that. So it's £480,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Would anyone like to comment on that? So, and the other grants, obviously, sorry, I just mentioned them, are they will come up in January for
Yeah.
when we have the £10,000.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in this month's one just because we're at £1,000 for this month.
Mm.
So yeah, there's £480. Any questions on that?
How are we sitting with the overall budget for the 1,000?
I think the total is there. So
Yeah.
annual budget 42,000, spend to date 29,160. So left to spend is 12,840.
Yeah.
So that includes 10,000 for January,
Yes,
1,000 for February,
yes,
1,000 for March, which is 12,000.
yeah,
So we've only really got 840 left.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, if no one else is going to say something, I'll say something.
Yeah.
I think we should support it because I think David Dennis has done a huge amount of work. And I never thought he'd get the Nature Club up and running, and he has. And if it helps him keep the Nature Club going for 12 months, then for £500 near enough
Yeah.
to keep volunteers involved in the conservation within Bexhill, I think it's
Mm.
well invested money, personally.
Agree.
Agree.
Okay. Can I get a vote on that then, please? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's gone through. Thank you very much. 8 is to note the floor plan for upstairs in the office. It's just underway. I think you've had someone in to have a look.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting to hear back from them
Mm-hmm.
on that. Community infrastructure levy, that's for the seal money that we said. I think we asked for open spaces and parks and gardens, and Brother have said that's not in that seal money. So seal money would be towards a fund for the Glyn Gap roundabout.
Yeah.
So the town clerk has asked for seal money for that. Okay, any questions on that?
Mm.
Okay. Moving on to 10, so recommendations from committees, there are none. Motions from councillors, there are none. Correspondence and matters for information, there are none. 13, the questions are there and the answers are there. That's A, and then B is to receive any questions from councillors. No? Okay.
Can I just ask on page 3 before you turn over, the Councillor Drayson asked if the District Council's budget consultation is being put to full council agenda. It was, but I also observed that there wasn't any, on the latest information that went to the District Council, Bexhill Town Council wasn't mentioned as a council that had responded to the most recent consultation.
I'll have to move to B because obviously A is just questions and answers.
Okay.
So if you have a question, it has to go to B, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So is that a question?
That's a question.
Okay. Try that repeated.
So you want to know if the council,
Well, in the most recent consultation, which was the budget one, there's a list of consultees that replied, and because Bexhill begins with a B, it's pretty obvious, because other councils had replied and Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council hadn't replied. And that sort of links in with the budget consultation question, so I don't know whether it fits in this committee or in another committee, or somewhere else.
I'll ask the question if the council replied to the latest budget consultation.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Temple?
I believe there was another consultation out on the 2025 to 29 council plan.
Is that a question? Sorry.
The
okay.
question is,
Okay.
the question
Yeah,
is
sorry.
relating to that.
Okay.
Have we responded? And I don't think we did, because I think that consultation is finished now.
Okay.
But it brings up the question, doesn't it, of consultations and how we handle them, really.
Okay.
So I suppose that's my question. What's our policy on handling consultations?
Okay. Any other questions at all? No? Okay. And then to consider any new risks for future mitigation? No? Okay. And then moving on to 14, which is overview of annual internal control tasks of the council. Any questions there, or happy to move on from that?
No, we have nothing to do for December. Good.
Okay. Great. So that's it. Date of next meeting, 15th of January 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.